Sports Central. It's live and exclusive. The biggest stories making rounds in the most exciting industry. It's called sports. Well, there's a lot to talk about this particular morning. We'll take a look at the latest winners and the qualifiers for the second round of the competition. Well, for basketball, it's a mid-season break, and right now there's not action, but there's a managerial casualty in the NBA. We'll talk about the latest manager sacked by an NBA franchise. We'll talk football. Last night we saw enthralling action in the UEFA Champions League. Well, Napoli were winners in Germany. Victor Osimhen continues his fantastic run of form, scoring for Napoli last night. To talk about the other game at Anfield, it was not bereft of drama, excitement, and glamour, particularly Real Madrid, defending champions, getting the victory on the night. So all this and many more form the crux of the conversation this morning. But before we get into all of this talk, let's take you through some news stories making rounds in Sports Wrap-Up. It's time. Welcome. Well, tennis is our first sport of call this morning. 2 days after he fell to Carlos Alcaraz in Buenos Aires, Cameron Norrie found his way back into the winning column on Tuesday at the Rio Open. The second seed overcame a strong start from Argentine lucky loser Juan Manuel Cerundolo to run away with a 7-5, 6-1 victory. From 3-5 down in the opening set, Norrie won 10 of the match's final 11 games to reach the Rio de Janeiro second round for the second time. Norrie's ability to make the match physical and attack the net also keyed his comeback against Cerundolo, according to him. He would next face a Brazilian Thiago Monteiro, who defeated Dominic Thiem 6-1, 3-6, 7-6 on Monday. Cerundolo's elder brother, fourth seed Francisco Cerundolo, had better luck on Tuesday with a 4-6, 6-3, 6-3 win against Roberto Caballes Baena. While traveling to Qatar, Emil Rusvori deployed his powerful forehand to great effect on Tuesday at the Qatar Open in Doha, where the Finn took out 6-seed Daniel Evans 7-5, 6-4 with a clean kitted display at the hard-court ATP 250 event. Rusvori and Evans each broke the love in the opening return games, or the first round, setting the tone for an entertaining encounter packed with all-court exchanges. The Finn would next face Jiri Lehecka, a 6-3, 7-6 winner against qualifier Damir Zumhor. We're talking about the ladies. World number 1 Iga Swiatek is to a 6-1, 6-1 win over 2021 US Open finalist Leylah Fernandez at the Dubai Duty-Free Tennis Championship on Tuesday. Less than 3 days after rolling to her second straight title at the Qatar Open in Doha, Swiatek sailed to a 72-minute victory to improve her record against Fernandez to 2 wins and no loss. Swiatek not only stayed unbeaten against Fernandez with a victory, but also against Canadians. She's now on a record of 4 wins and no loss against players from Canada in her entire tennis career, and that's a record. We're talking basketball this morning. The Atlanta Hawks announced on Monday that they had fired head coach Nate McMillan after reaching the All-Star break with a record of 29 wins and 30 massive losses. It was meant to be an exciting season in Atlanta as McMillan prepared for his second full campaign in charge, having taken over from Lloyd Pierce shortly after the All-Star break in the 2020-21 season. That year, after taking charge, McMillan led the Hawks to a blistering record of 27 wins and 11 losses, earning the 5th seat in the East and going on to make the Eastern Conference Finals after winning series against both the New York Knicks and the Philadelphia 76ers. They took a step back the following season, finishing 8th in the East with a first-round playoff exit, and they continued trending in the wrong direction this time around. Now the Hawks sit 16th in the offense and 21st in defense, lacking any kind of identity. With the trade deadline having already passed, this is the group Atlanta would have to win with down the home stretch. And ultimately, the franchise decided to sack McMillan, who they think has run out of ideas to steady the sinking ship. But that's the story from that. Let's talk about football this morning. Nigeria Super Falcons ended their 7-game losing streak after defeating Costa Rica by a 0-0 in the final game of the Revelation Cup tournament this morning. Esther Okoronkwo scored the decisive goal in minutes before break, and it was the team's first goal in the 4-nation invitational tournament, having failed to hit the target in their previous 2 games against Mexico and Colombia. The Super Falcons will now shift their attentions to another invitational game coming up in Turkey later in May, even as they prepare for the World Cup. Well, these are the stories we're tracking right now. We'll take a short break. When we come back, we'll have Blyden Okem join the conversation, and together we'll do justice to what's in the plate. Please stick around. Right back in a jiffy.
our governors have to share police powers with the president as stipulated by the constitution. We do not have a federal government police force. We have the Nigeria police force, which
it might also enlarge the scope of people who should
are set to do the mark and swing the magic. My zone is still here for This compliments every day.
No, really.
I'm trying to figure it out, man.
No, really, that's the truth. I was just watching the, the monitor and looking at the glass. I was like, this is nice. This is
Thank you,
some
Mari.
third volley quality. Yes, it's good to be back, by the way.
Thank you, Mari. You look like a troublemaker these days.
Well, like it's a thing with people who have got affiliations with Chelsea. Find a way to find happiness elsewhere.
Okay.
Other than
At the very best of stories making record, it had to be one man. Cameron Norrie, British #1. Barely 2 days ago at Buenos Aires in Argentina. He lost in the final to
last weekend to Carlos Alcaraz, but he's been able to put younger brother, particularly
He was a wild card in the event.
Wild card in the events. Tennis family, because Francisco ups and downs last year, but of course, early, and he's been able to get some level of wins in and out. So fantastic stuff for the family. But at least I've got Francisco Cerundolo still in the competition, and that should make sense for Cameron Norrie. Names that you talk about, top tennis players, he's going to be there, but he doesn't win trophies. He definitely does not
won
get.
some last year, man.
Well, won some last year, but Blyden, you look at the kind of player he is as a top-ranked British player. He's supposed to do
Especially
better.
when you're a British #1.
Supposed to do better. The likes of Danny Evans left the throne for you. You're supposed to do a lot better. So sadly, he's not been able to put up that kind of performance. But fantastic stuff for him yesterday.
Well, good that he's won. Cameron Norrie. We can talk about other opportunities for was a 6-1, 3-6, 7-6 win for Thiago Monteiro.
I think looking at the quality, being able to produce a top good performer, but not just at the Cameron Norrie in the next form.
Competition would be a support could pin. He's not a big shooter. He's always this guy that goes slow and steady to get the result.
Yeah.
Shockers might happen in this one, Mari.
Well, Blyden, shockers are bound to happen. It's sports. Upsets are a part of the game. But I want to look at quality. I want to look at, antecedents. Cameron Norrie has started the season. You'd have to do the same energy and the pace that I saw him put up yesterday against, Cerundolo. And for me, that should be the conversation. I think Cameron Norrie has got a chance to get to the final again in this competition.
Well, while one younger brother is beaten, the elder brother is doing the magic in Rio. It has to be Francisco Cerundolo doing the magic against Roberto Sabales in this one. Decent win for Cerundolo, the elder brother, after the younger brother had slumped against Cameron Norrie. Let's talk about Cerundolo.
Yeah.
Well, not the biggest of stars when it has to do with tennis,
Absolutely.
but he's been around the scene. And playing in Brazil right now.
Well, 7 losses in the past. Top tennis player. He's not been able to crack into that cycle where we put him in conversations with the likes of Felix Auger-Aliassime, Carlos Alcaraz, Novak Djokovic, Robert Soket, and the rest of them. He's not been able to get to that level where he's seen as a younger brother.
He has to show leadership.
Show leadership, consistency. Rome wasn't built in a day. At some point, world number manual.
Well, while we're talking about all the examples that ought to be in tennis, Carlos Alcaraz, his game was suspended. So we'll get to talk about what Carlos Alcaraz was able to do in Rio in the second round of this competition. But let's moment these days to talk about. But Iga Swiatek's back, showing that Iga is back. We did talk about Lila could have a good opportunity against Iga Swiatek, but had no chance. 6-1.
Whoever sells the book How to Beat Iga Swiatek Again, I'm going to arrest that person. Truly speaking, because I saw this game and there is. Rybakina lost to Coco Gauff yesterday. If she was that good. It's a thing of consistency. Not the best of players. We're talking about the most consistent player. Leila Fernandez is facing Iga Swiatek at the wrong time because she was just getting herself back on track. For Swiatek, won a second straight competition last week. There's a record. She's not lost against Canadians before.
We're about going there.
In her career.
Was it with Canadians? Well, Iga Swiatek is having fun with Canadians. 4-0 now.
Well, I wish I had that kind of record. But I think it's fantastic. It just shows how good she is, particularly, and how dominant she is as a player. And then the thing is, she's still young. She's not even 25 yet. She's putting up this kind of performance. I see consistency because
she's not even 22, not even 21.
Blyden, 20 thereabouts. After last year, where she was quite impervious all through the season, for
a while we're looking forward to. Now stayed about 187 weeks consecutively on top as world number one. And since then, we've not had that dominant performance. Ashley Barty came on board, wasn't quite dominant at some point, but showed that she was the best in tennis at the time. But that consistency was the problem. At that record last year, 37 winning streak.
37. Biden was a 6-1, 6-1 win. Shows you dominance, particularly. So, I mean, this girl's quality is just a match, particularly, and I love what I'm seeing from her performances. Like you talked about titles, so her name. What happens to the other 12-level titles? So she's definitely going to win them. So I'm looking forward to seeing how she performs. Her next opponent is Sam Snovic, which was her win number 22 in that 37 unbeaten streak last year. So it's quality.
As an opportunities from different tours, of tennis has been that of dominant ease in NBA. Well, the NBA is still on that break. to return on Friday after the All-Star Games. But news here and there, sacks here and there. And it has to be the story regarding Atlanta Hawks. They've sacked their manager. They said, it's enough. The result has 80 massive losses. And
came in mid-season, you know, after the All-Star break like this. So he who lives by the All-Star break will die by the All-Star break like it. But you
like it. Why do you like it?
Well, I love it when, you know, you're sacked unexpected. But once you're sacked, but it helped them to fantastic. And there was so much full season for him. And sadly, they weren't energy and motivation it took was the fact that they had season 29 wins and about having a big name in your team. It's a thing. You know, Boston Celtics win. It's a fantastic
Trae
player.
Will give you that.
He does the points.
It's not just about a Marquis name.
Yeah. And then sadly, most of than always this season, they barely get the Phoenix Suns to bring in Kevin Durant. For Trae Young, he's a good stop and have won trophies. Do you understand what it means?
Many basketball followers wouldn't agree to that.
But that's the thing.
He's not top quality.
Well, I understand. You see Trae Young make the All-Star team.
Last year, he was part of the All-Star team.
He was. But 2 seasons ago, nothing.
This year, they've been terrible. It could be that.
That's what I'm saying.
And the weakness in the team effort could be it.
LeBron James, Blyden, LeBron James.
Oh, Murray don't go to that conversation.
The Lakers,
LeBron is another level.
Oh, that's the thing. We're
LeBron
talking about
level.
Top players.
In this generation, talk about the number one. It's LeBron.
Definitely.
Then others will come up.
The LA Lakers are struggling, but LeBron James was the captain of his All-Star side.
And he shoot yourself on the leg. Look, he's a Marquis name, but they're still struggling.
No, that's my point is. My point is he puts up fine performance. Atlanta Hawks team. They don't look in the league top offenses. They're 16th. So either ways, they've been poor. That's manager, and that's the conversation at the end of the day.
Well, casualties will always be the manager because the managers get to make the decision to mold the team to become what they ought to be. But the big question would be: is Trae Young a top-class player? Because Marizena says he doesn't think he is. Well, away from basketball, and let's get to talk about the big ones that's happening. Yesterday, they walked alone, ended 5-2. At Anfield in favor of Real Madrid. We'll get to talk more about it when we come back from this break. Football all the way when we're back.
Police powers that organized and supervised by the Nigerian police.
No, my lord, I want to say something. I want to say something here. Perhaps it might also enlarge the scope of people who should be invited here for examination. My Lord, if we cannot find those who literally murdered Abiola, who are those people who could be said to be the beneficiaries of the
decent win for, that's why one can call him the most informed player in Europe. Well, recent times. But the Super Falcons, according to the paper, said they pipped Costa Rica 1-0 to end a barrage of losses. 7 losses it was for the Super Falcons, and finally they've gotten a win in the Revelation Cup, Murray.
Well, Blyden, after 7 straight consecutive losses, the team has now gotten a win. It was a 1-0 victory, but the performance was still like what we saw against Mexico and Colombia, right? And then I'm talking about this because of the World Cup coming. Randy Wardrum has made some very audacious statements about what he wants to do with the Super Falcons team and how far he wants to take them. But with the performance I saw, nah.
Are we expecting an improved performance moving to the tournament at talking?
Well, the only thing I saw yesterday was a tactical switch, a tactical change, and a personal change too.
What was the switch?
You know, Balogun started in goal. You know, realistically, the performance was still lacking. We're talking about Australia. Super Falcons can match 2-2, 4-4, but performance-wise, the girls are still a long way off being convincing to me and impressing me. They go to Turkey next. It's still nothing to look out for, Blyden.
Well, let's not stick those taking on Egypt at the AFCON Under-20 tournament in hope that they could qualify for the World Cup in Indonesia. Big game is going to be Egypt are the hosts. Yeah. Decent football team. Egypt first game played a goalless draw against Mozambique. Yeah. And now they're taking on the Flying Eagles, rather, who lost to Senegal in the first leg of this competition, at the group stage of this competition. Yeah,
regroup should be the conversation. Regroup, recap game, sadly, go to nil, but it's still fairly open. They still have a chance, you know, of getting this one in the back because they face Egypt today. But I think all of that will depend on how they perform later today and how many from the side and the. This is a continental competition with the best teams across different regions. You have to put up a good performance. That's the conversation. So holistically, I look at the team. I think they can do well, Blyden, but it boils down to how they approach this game later today. Go there with the aim of scoring as many goals as possible, create your chances and take them as they come. That is as simple as that, Blyden.
It wasn't big, as well as the response from the Nigerians. Decent game it was from all fronts, but one
jump, because I mean that's the only thing left to do, you know, to talk about this man. Explosive yesterday. He was a key man for Napoli.
And we get to talk about him every day. People from Manchester United would
goals and literally winning games for the team. Look at the performance yesterday. He won the first penalty. Varacella could not convert it.
To clear the ball, he pips in, touches the ball, boom, it's a penalty.
It's their loss. That's why you're brilliant. Look at the energy he takes into games, you know, over them. And I love it. I love it. Performance yesterday. He was my man of the match for me, Blyden, because he was. To give him the ball, he scores for you. Look at the strike, the first goal he scored. You know, a pass swept through. He was just there to finish it. Energy. First up, I am proud to be Nigerian because he only have been impervious at the stadium with a massive home support and score 4 or 5. We kind of formed this team.
Frankfurt. Bet you the next one you love what you also saw. First 14 minutes, it was Mo Salah. You know, first goal, second goal, and the Ballon d'Or winner always being the match.
It's actually for anything this season. I mean, it was shocking. Now let's you know, you get a 2-goal lead early into the game.
And the 2-goal
lead. What happens to you know Real Madrid? You playing Madrid, you don't lose focus. Look at Modric might be Vinicius Junior. I mean, he made nonsense of his quality to draw. Liverpool had left the game to the Bernabeu. Because
Ancelotti says it's not over.
Well, it's mind games, Blyden. It's mind. We're talking about the Bernabeu.
Maybe he's putting the team in the right mindset.
To come back. It's 5 tonight. It's 5-4. Wonder what it's called.
5 Premier League with Pep Guardiola. But the question is, can they do it at the high stage? Inter Milan versus Porto. Won't really
badly. So that's a thing of concern. But Holy Champions League, so I think it's going to be a draw.
Inter Milan not quite though.
Well, they've got some fine attackers in that team. Chahanoglu, on not so.
And the answers we'll get to talk about it tomorrow when we return. The Sports Central. My name is Blyden Ukem and Mari.
After the show from you,
you're always wanting to chew Mari.
time you have a plan, a dream,